Bastien. I'm not Icelandic, I'm French. That's where this beautiful accent come from. Sorry for that. And I ended up in Iceland in the first place because I love volcano. So I studied volcanology at university, and I came here to be able to see volcano and maybe eruption. And since the first time I arrived here, 7 years ago, I got a few eruption here in Iceland. And until recently, I managed to miss them all. So I was always out of the country, doing something else, and by the time I was coming back, it was over. I even managed to miss the one that happened 2 years ago. I don't know if you heard about it. Lasted for 6 months. Yeah, thank you, yeah, I know. So I was stuck in France because of COVID, working at the time, couldn't take any holiday. So finally managed to come back to work here, it was also over. So I used to say to people, if they were worried about an eruption happening during their stay in Iceland, as long as I was here, then they should be fine. But this time is actually over, because I managed to see the eruption that happened a year ago. I don't know if you heard about this one too. Lasted for a little bit less than 3 weeks, but I managed to see it. And with the one that happened in July this year, I think we can finally say that my curse is completely lifted. It just took me 7 years, but I'm okay with that. But I really wish that in the future, you can experience this kind of eruption, pretty safe, because it's an amazing thing to see from nature. It's going to happen again for sure, that's not the question. It's more, are you going to be here, but that depends on you. And a little bit of luck too. But I really wish you can see one day. But first, just a few words about the show. It was actually created by an Icelandic couple in 2018. And they got this crazy idea on volcano. Do you remember the 2010 eruption? 8 years after the event? That's the one that completely paralyzed air traffic in Europe, so we might have been stuck somewhere, maybe. But this eruption was also famous for its name. The news anchor and the reporter, they struggled to say it. But at some point, they just gave up and called the volcano E15. E for the first letter, and 15 for all the letter after that. And I'm not gonna lie, I was doing the same at the time because I haven't been in Iceland yet. But from here I have to say it, so Egia Fataliga. So I say it very fast, and you have time to hear how bad is it. Or even if I think it's okay. Could be better, it could be way worse, that's for sure. But the eruption actually interests us. It's another one that happened a month before that. It was just next to Egia Fataliga, on the ridge, where there was no ice. And because of that, it was a more friendly eruption. You could see lava flowing on the mountain. And a lot of Icelandic people went to see this eruption. And the founder of the show that was there too, and actually witnessed the highest lava fall recorded in history. It was over 200 meters high, 600 feet. So I don't know if you've been on the south coast already. Have you seen a waterfall called Skogafoss?
Yes.
Yeah, a few people, not everyone. Have you seen the church downtown? Yeah, the big one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so the church and the waterfall, roughly the same size, 60, 70 meters, 200 feet. So imagine three times this, but with lava falling on the mountain. That was pretty impressive, and the owner were mesmerized by it, and they thought that everyone should be able to experience this. But in reality, it's not so easy to experience an eruption. First, because it's not every day. On average in Iceland, you got an eruption every 3 to 5 years. And most of the time it's under a glacier or far in the highland, so not very accessible. And secondly, there's a lot of danger with eruption. You could have huge explosion, toxic gas, pure plastic flow, ash covering everything, lightning, earthquake, glacier flood, and of course molten lava that can burn down pretty much everything. So depending on the condition, it's not the best place to be, an eruption. And because of that, they're thinking about a way to show to people lava, but in a safe environment. And after years of experiments, and a lot of paperwork also, they finally opened the first show in Vik, on the south coast, and that was 5 years ago. And for something like a year now, we have this to show in Reykjavik. And so far, safe. So far, especially for the first one. Now it's pretty safe. Like if you read about it, nothing's really burn except you guys. So we should be fine. I think. So we're gonna first show you a video so I can explain to you why Iceland is such a volcanic place. And then we're gonna talk about big eruption that happened through history and since the first settlement here in Iceland. And that was in the late 800s by the Vikings. So in the video, you're going to see a few of these catastrophic events, and also how Icelandic people lived through them. And then we're going to focus on the Reykjanes Peninsula, So the Reykjanes Peninsula is where we're in at the moment, but also where the Keflavik airport is, where you all came in Iceland from. And this peninsula consists of 5 volcanic systems. And these 5 volcanic systems haven't erupted in the last 800 years. And that was until 2 years ago, when all of this system awakened. And that was the Fagradalsfjall system. And this system awakened in a very nice fissure eruption, just like a big crack in the ground, the lava pouring out, making big lava fountain and lava flow. And that's the one that lasted for 6 months, the one I missed. And then the year after that, this system erupted again, this time for less than 3 weeks, but also a little bit further north compared to the previous one. And this summer erupted once more, even further north than before. But the thing is, in the future, in the years to come, 400 years, if eruption continue to happen in this system further and further north, there's the risk at some point that the eruption might reach Reykjavik. And that's a possibility in the future that lava might flow in Reykjavik again. And it hasn't been the case in the last 5,000 years. But that's the future. You don't really need to worry about it. For your trip, you should be fine. But speaking of worry, the video you're going to see might be a little bit dramatic. There's like a lot of big eruption, catastrophic events, a lot of destruction, and our point is not really too scary. We don't want you to run away straight after the show. So just to try to make you feel better, I just want to tell you that all the volcanoes here in Iceland, they were monitored by different techniques. First one would be to check the earthquake. If lava is going up, it's moving a lot of rocks around. So it's making a lot of earthquake. So if you see a swarm of earthquake under a volcano, that could indicate an eruption might happen. Next thing would be ground deformation. Same thing, lava is going up, it's actually lifting the ground above it a little bit. And that's also something you can see. And the last thing would be the volcanic gas. When lava is getting close to the surface, it's degassing a lot. And you can find this gas in the atmosphere around the volcano, but also in the water coming to the river from this volcano. And these 3 things are actually linked to a warning system. It's just basically a big map of Iceland with all the volcano on it. And they all have a color, from green, yellow, red to black. Green means nothing's happening. Volcano is just chilling there. Yellow would be a swarm of earthquake or some ground deformation that could indicate an eruption. Red it's erupting, and black is a catastrophic event, need evacuation or several eruptions at the same time. But in Iceland, when it's erupting, it's not always black. Last 3 eruptions were just red. It's erupting, but it's actually pretty safe. Like people were running towards the eruption site, and not the other way. That was okay. So this monitoring and the warning system make that these days you have a good understanding if an eruption might happen. It's not like in the video you're going to see, but it's more like a surprise to them. It's just at the time, they didn't have the technology, neither the knowledge. But these days we knew in advance. And actually this summer, we knew in advance. Well, we didn't know years before, neither months, but we knew something like 2 weeks before. And if we knew 2 weeks before, it's because we got earthquake and ground deformation. So we knew lava was going up. We couldn't tell when. It's not like tomorrow morning, 10 o'clock eruption. But we knew it was going up and in which area. And that was enough to close it and be sure everyone is safe. And I know this eruption stopped a few months ago, but if you have any question about it, feel free to ask me later in the show. I would be very happy to talk about this eruption if you want to. And later on, also I'm going to talk about what's happening at the moment on the Reykjanes Peninsula. There's a little bit of activity going on there, but I'm going to go back to that later. But going back to this, that's going to be the end of the video. Now we're going to begin to pour the lava here. Lava is around 1100 degrees Celsius, 2000 Fahrenheit. That's pretty hot. And it's going to go through this channel we made in the middle. And at the bottom of the channel over here, there's an ice block. And this is just to show you interaction between ice and lava. So the ice is going to turn into steam very quickly, go through the lava, and make tiny bubbles on the surface. And we do this to show you what's happening with a lot of volcanoes here in Iceland. On the south coast, for example, a lot of volcanoes are under big ice cap. So when it's erupting, it's melting the ice on top, and filling up the caldera or the crater of the volcano with water. And the water there is in direct contact with the lava. So it's turning into steam very quickly and under big pressure. And you got this huge steam explosion under the glacier. And this steam explosion explodes the lava into small particles like volcanic ash or black sand. And that's why, for example, the 2010 eruption had a big ash cloud. It's just normal interaction between ice and lava. But here, well, we don't have enough ice, lava, or more pressure to make this big explosion. It's just going to be tiny one on the surface. So don't worry about it. There is not. It's quite nice to look at. Yes.
Wait, is it a real lava?
Yes. And you're in the front row. Good luck. It's real lava.
Where does it come from?
I will explain everything. Don't worry. Don't spoil it. I know I'm lost. So yeah. I'm not going to talk about the lava, by the way. I just wanted to say there is actually two kinds of lava flow because we're speaking about the flow. The first one is called Pahoehoe, and the other one is called A'a lava flow. So this word, they don't come from Iceland, they're from Hawaii. And the first one is what most people think of a lava flow. It's a very liquid orange lava, flowing down a mountain very quickly like a lava river. It's basically a lava river. A'a lava flow is the opposite. It's a very viscous lava, with a big chunk of rock into it, and just moving down the mountain by rolling on top of each other very slow. But what you're going to see today is a typical lava river. So it's a nicer one. Well, I think so. So can you see this black material over here? So that's all around the lava slide. So this, it's lava, but more specifically basalt. Basalt is the most common volcanic rock in the world. It's making 75 to 80% of Iceland. And the eruption we got this summer was basalt, for example. And this basalt, we picked it up on the south coast, east of Vik, where we have the other lava show. And we know this basalt exploded under a glacier when Katla, a big volcano there, erupted the last time in 1918. And that's what we're using in the back, in the furnace, to do the lava you're going to see today. So we're emitting lava from 100 years ago. Are you ready? Yay! Yeah. Oh, at least get quiet for once. Most of the time it's just silence, awkward.
We can do better.
It's okay, we're gonna have the lava, don't worry about it. But just a few instructions before I put the video on, you all found some goggles on your seats. I'll ask you at the end of the video to put them on and to keep them until the end of the show. You can take as many pictures and video as you want, just don't use the flash, it's not necessary, lava is bright enough. And I think the iPhone, the flash is automatic. So just be sure to turn it off before taking any picture. And of course, if you have any question, you can just ask me. And I will try to answer the best I can. Okay? Perfect. But one more thing before the video, I want to introduce my colleague Mario. He's our lava melter. Yeah, come in, don't be shy. They're gonna laugh about you anyway, so come in. So he's the one melting the lava you're gonna see today, and he's also the one pouring it in the room. And if he's wearing this outfit, it's not just for the show. And that's because behind this wall, next to the furnace, is getting very hot for him. So he needs this protection. And that's what they're using for metal industry, or if a volcanologist needs to take a sample from a lava field during an eruption. And on the visor, on the helmet, there is a thin layer of gold on it. And that's because gold reflects the heat and the light very well. And that's what they use on spacesuits, to try to protect them from the sun. Same kind of technology. It's same kind, Mario. You're going in space anyway. Is lava ready, by the way? Okay, very helpful. Thank you very much, Mario, as usual. I think it's time for you to go back to your cave over there. Thank you so much. But thanks, Mario. Don't worry about him, he's happy. I think he feels alone over there. Hmm? He's from Spain. So none of them. See, they're laughing about you, Spanish people. If you have Spanish people, I'm sorry. Yeah, they're over there. Sorry. But yeah, enjoy the video, and you will see me after that.
Lava Show. Iceland is one of the most active volcanic places on Earth, with a significant eruption every 3 to 5 years on average. There are more active volcanoes concentrated in Iceland than anywhere else on the planet. Iceland has 30 active volcano systems, of which 19 have erupted since the settlement of Iceland over 1,000 years ago. There are two main reasons why Iceland has so much volcanic activity. sitting right on top of a powerful mantle plume that continuously pushes magma towards the surface. Mantle plumes are sometimes referred to as hotspots, and in Iceland, the center of the massive magma plume is nestling right below Grímsvötn, the most active volcano in Iceland. The other reason for Iceland's intense volcanic activity is because of the mid-Atlantic ridge that cuts right through the island. The ridge consists of two tectonic plates that are steadily moving away from each other, about 2 centimeters per year. These tectonic movements leave cracks in the Earth's crust that make it easier for the magma to reach the surface. The magma plume below Iceland and the mid-Atlantic ridge make Iceland one of the most volcanically active places on the planet. There are only 2 natural phenomena that can result in an extinction rate catastrophe. One is a large meteor hitting the Earth, similar to what happened 65 million years ago, leading to the demise of the dinosaurs. Thankfully, we have not been in any real danger from another apocalyptic meteor crash since then. However, the possibility still remains. The only other natural disaster that could create an apocalyptic catastrophe is a violent eruption of a so-called supervolcano. There are 6 known supervolcanoes on Earth, and Yellowstone in the US is undoubtedly the most famous one. Yellowstone last erupted 640,000 years ago, and the direct impact zone covered more than half of North America. But what are the odds of a supervolcano going off in our lifetime? Scientists say that it's not likely. But even if we don't have to worry about a supervolcano going off, there are still about 50 volcanoes erupting in the world at any given moment. In Iceland, some of the eruptions that have taken place in recent years have been fairly small and seemingly innocent. Some have even been called tourist eruptions. But don't be fooled. Icelandic volcanoes can be very dangerous, even deadly. To better understand the most catastrophic volcanic eruptions in Icelandic history, let's go on a journey back in time to the year 870. This was when the Nordic Vikings decided to face the open sea in search of new land. They ventured further west than anyone had ever gone before. Days turned into weeks, and the vast ocean seemed endless. Just as they were about to lose all hope, the ravens opened their wings and flew away. That could only mean one thing. Land was near. On the horizon, white mountaintops appeared, resulting in the name of this new land, Iceland. As they sailed closer, they could see rocky hills covered with moss and birch trees. There were no people in sight, and it didn't take long for the Vikings to settle down and build their new homes. With time, people learned to live with harsh weather conditions and the dominating raw nature. Over the next decades, more settlers arrived that were welcomed with open arms. There was plenty of space for everyone, and for over 50 years, the settlers of Iceland had their own little ill-weathered paradise, all to themselves. But then, Mother Nature decided it was time to remind those newcomers that this remote island in the north was her domain. All hell broke loose in one of the most catastrophic eruptions in modern history. It was the Eldgjár eruption. Eldgjár means fire canyon, and no wonder. The earth was ripped apart in a 75-kilometer long fissure in what is still today the largest volcanic canyon on Earth. The Eldgjár eruption lasted for 4 years, and it produced the greatest amount of lava which is equivalent to New York City and its 5 boroughs being swallowed by lava. The Eldgjá eruption marked the end of an era where settlers came to Iceland. From there on, everyone was warned from setting sail to the hellish island of ice and fire. This was made immortal in a famous poem called Völuspá.
Sól tér sortna, sígur fold í mar, hverfa af himni, heiðar stjörnur, geysar eimi við aldrunara, leikur hár hiti við himinn sjálfan.
Now, let's go forward in time of more than 300 years, which takes us to the next Icelandic volcano catastrophe. The ice-capped stratovolcano in southeast Iceland, which also happens to be the highest peak on Icelandic soil, then went by the name Knappafellsjökull. The volcano was surrounded by fertile grazing lands, which supported at least 40 farms in the area, formerly known as Litla Hérað, or Little Shire. One day, out of the blue, the top of the volcano exploded in a massive eruption, bringing about a deadly pyroclastic flow made up of gas and volcanic ash of 1,000 degrees Celsius, traveling down the volcano at 700 kilometers an hour, killing every living being in the area. This eruption was such a devastating event that the whole surrounding area became a lifeless wasteland for years to come, which led to a new name of the volcano, Öræfajökull, the volcano of ruined wasteland. In the fall of 1783, the Lakagígar eruption began. The Laki eruption consisted of a 25-kilometer long fissure lined with 130 craters. Although the eruption did not turn out to be quite as enormous as the Eldgjá eruption 700 years earlier, human societies had developed a lot since the 900s, and events of this scale were now recorded in much greater detail. Massive clouds of poisonous hydrofluoric acid and sulfur dioxide clouded the northern hemisphere for years. It caused a global drop in temperatures of 2 to 3 degrees Celsius and led to a devastating drop in quality of life in many areas of the world. Western Europe was particularly badly affected, which is why the Lakagígar eruption is considered to be one of the fundamental reasons for the French Revolution taking place just a few years later.
Volcanic ash has caused the worst disruption in air travel since 9/11.
The infamous eruption in Eyjafjallajökull in 2010 is another eruption worth mentioning.
That's actually steam created by lava bursting up through the glacier.
It put Iceland in the spotlight big time. The massive ash plume that rose 20 kilometers into the atmosphere brought air traffic in Europe to a standstill for days on end. More than half the volcanoes in Iceland are covered by glaciers, and whenever lava gets in contact with ice, it results in violent explosions that fractures the lava into superfine particles that rise high into the air and can ignite the engines of airplanes. Not a risk you would like to take. After 800 years of sleep, with no volcanic activity, the Reykjanes Peninsula has awakened yet again. It all began with the eruption in Fagradalsfjall in 2021, in what became the most closely followed volcano eruption of all time. The Fagradalsfjall volcano system, which is situated only 30 kilometers from the capital area and only 15 kilometers from Keflavik International Airport, had been dormant for 6,000 years when it first erupted in 2021. Beginning volcano system is only one of 5 volcano systems on the Reykjanes Peninsula. These are the volcano systems responsible for all the lava in and around the capital area. And now that the Reykjanes Peninsula seems to have awoken from its centuries-long slumber, there is a real possibility that the capital area could be in danger in the near future.
Okay, so like I said, you can see on the surface, it's just the steam going through the lava making this tiny explosion. Have you heard about Phyllis hair? It's these thin filaments of lava. They are formed when lava is falling over an edge and the wind is blowing. You can find this kind of formation. They're cooling down very quickly and look like hair. But you can't really find them after an eruption. And that's because they break very easily. They turn into dust very quickly soon after the formation. So I have more ice. Do you want to see what's happening if I put it on top? Yeah? So I'm going to put the ice on top. The lava is going to cool down very quickly. And when the lava is cooled down very quickly, there is no time for crystal to appear inside the lava. And you're just turning the lava into what it's most made of. And it's most made of silica. 47%. So you're just turning the lava into a volcanic glass. So what's happening here is some of the steam is going up, but some of it is being pushed and forced inside the lava and make it blow like a balloon. And that's what you can see here. It's just the steam trying to escape, but at the same time lava on top is getting more solid. It's kind of trapped there. Of course, if it's too thin, it's going to go through, and everything might collapse like a souffle. And you can see where I put the ice on top is turning black very quickly, just turning into a volcanic glass. And behind, in the channel, you can see that the lava is not moving anymore. But inside is still very hot and liquid. And that's because lava is cooling down over the edge of the floor. So that, if I go under it, I can actually lift it. And that's because it's solidified on the edge, but inside is still very hot and liquid. And if lava is flowing on a slope in nature, maybe the lava will be able to flow out of its own insulation. And if the lava is flowing out, you will just leave an empty tunnel behind. And that's the way to do a lava tunnel or lava tube. And you can see that inside it's still very hot. It's just more viscous, but still very hot. Can you hear the lava making sound? Yeah? So this is just the lava cooling down. And then what's happening, it's lava. When it's a liquid, it's taking more space than when it's a solid. So when cooling down, it's actually contracting on itself. But at the same time it's contracting, it's getting more solid. So it's making cracks and fissure into it. And that's what you can hear. It's just the lava breaking itself apart. And because of this cracking, especially in the pipe area over here, I'm going to put some protection on it. It's just to be completely safe. So in the next 5-10 minutes, you're going to hear a lot of sounds coming from this area. It's totally normal. And this cracking is what makes lava feel quite dangerous a long time after an eruption is over. For example, the eruption from this summer, or you could go there before. But you can't anymore because of a risk of a new eruption, but you could go there before. And that was okay. But some people were working on it. And this can be very dangerous, because first, lava could be very hot. Depending on the amount of lava you have on top of each other, it can take years, and sometimes hundreds of years, to cool down completely. But also could be walking on top of a lava tunnel, and if the roof of this tunnel is not thick enough, it could just collapse, fill up with cracks and fissure when cooling down. And under that, lava could be very hot, because it's a very good insulator. And that's why you have to wait a very long time after an eruption is over to be able to go to the lava field safely. And I'm saying that because you could see a lot of people working on it, and sometimes the search and rescue team need to come and help them. So if you go to a newly formed lava field, just stay on the path. It's not really worth it to go on top, at least for a few years after the eruption. So here in front, you can see there is a few bubbles. I'm going to show you they break very easily. They're really, really thin. And under them, for example here, lava is still very orange. And that's because even a thin layer of lava, it's enough to insulate the lava flowing inside it. So if I go inside the bubble and try to lift it, you can see that it's still very hot there. It's more viscous because it lost a little bit of temperature, but still very hot. Let's see if I can find another place. You can see that if I just remove this solidified layer, it's more orange under. And if I check the temperature, where I put the ice on top first, so it's dark, lava is around 690 Fahrenheit, 370 Celsius. Still hot, but way lower than what we had at the start. And if I check where it's orange, like in the bubble here, it's 620 Celsius, 1160 Fahrenheit. So a little bit more. That's because it was protected by this solidified lava on top. And here, I just have the paper. I'm just gonna put one on me on top. Taking fire pretty quickly. And I have a tip for you to know the temperature of the lava. When lava is above 600 Celsius, 1100 Fahrenheit, that's when the lava is still emitting light. Red, orange, this kind of color. But when it's below this temperature, it's when the lava is taking a dark color. So if you see that lava is still glowing, that's meaning it's still above 600 Celsius, 1100 Fahrenheit. Is it going to help you to know if you can touch it? Yeah, no, not really. But that's an tip I got. But I'll show you something. That shows you that even when it's dark, like it is on the surface in some area, it doesn't mean it's cold. It can still be hot, and for a very long time. So if you're not sure about the temperature of the lava, when going to a lava field, just don't touch it. I know it looked pretty obvious, but I was at the eruption this summer, and I can tell you it was not so obvious for everyone. So just in case, I prefer to say it. And here on top, lava is turning into a volcanic glass. And that's because it's cooling down very fast. But if lava would have more time to cool down, we'd have time for crystal to appear inside the lava. And at the end, when the lava would be completely solidified, it would look like this here. So this gray rocks around the slide, it's also basalt, but it's a crystallized basalt. But if I take this rock, put it in the furnace in the back, and melt it, you would get out the same way as you just saw. That's because it's exactly the same composition. It's just a different speed of cooling down. And the black sand here, but that's what we use first to do the lava, so it's also basalt. But this one exploded on Katla 100 years ago. So all three things, they become completely different from each other, but exactly same composition. Just different process of formation. Any questions so far? I don't see most of you, so if you have a question, just say it.
How do you get the lava?
Hmm?
How do you get the lava?
Break very easily when cooling down. And small pieces release the heat faster. But that's still not enough. So we just have to clean it when it's hot. So we're just wearing big gloves. And with the shovel, we put all the pieces of lava back into big buckets. And we leave the buckets to cool down for the day or the night, depends, in the back. And generally we use the same lava, not for the next show, but for the one after that. We have 2 batches of lava, we're just using one after another. So in the furnace, Mario was loading the lava to be ready for the 12 o'clock tomorrow. And this lava is going to be remelted for the 2 o'clock, so the one after. I will just use it again, and again. We're just remelting it all the time.
How much do you need to generate
So the heat,
to get the lava?
so like the furnace is a bit hotter than what we say. The furnace is actually closer to 1300 Celsius, 2500 Fahrenheit. That's not because we need this temperature to melt the lava. It's because on the travel from the furnace to the slide, it's losing 200 Celsius, 400, 500 Fahrenheit. So we need to be higher in the furnace to be sure we have the right temperature in the showroom.
So how much then in the
Hmm? Furnace is 1300 Celsius, 2500 Fahrenheit. Yeah.
What does the ship be like?
Just fight. Ladies first. Okay, over there.
What did the ship be like?
Yeah. So everything we're using, so this thing, the rod over there, basically all the tools, shovel, bucket, everything is made of steel. And that's because steel has a higher melting point. It's melting around 1500 Celsius, 2700 Fahrenheit. So the lava is not hot enough to make it melt. Of course it's hot. Like the end over there is certainly hot, we're not going to touch it. But it's not enough to make it melt.
So how many times can you reuse this material? Will it ever lose its properties?
It doesn't lose anything. So we can use this lava again and again, because when we melt it, we're not changing anything in the composition. We're just using energy to melt it. And when it's spraying in the room, it's losing this energy. So you don't change the composition itself. We can just do it again and again.
So is this glass or is it like obsidian?
Aha, is this obsidian?
Yeah.
So it looks like obsidian, but it's not obsidian. Obsidian is also volcanic glass. So it's lava that cools very quickly, but it's from a different lava. This one is from basalt, 47% silica. When obsidian, it's from a lava called rhyolite, and rhyolite is between 65 to 90% silica, so way more. And the main difference is kind of the solidity. Both are very sharp. That's not a problem. This is very sharp, obsidian too. But obsidian is way stronger in a way that if you try to shape it, it's a little bit like flintstone. You can make something out of it. That's why a lot of civilization in the past used it for tools and weapons. This one break, but too randomly. So it's really hard to shape it and do something with it. It's not impossible, it's just way hard. But if you want to say you saw obsidian today, I'm okay with that. Almost do the same. But if you go to a lava field and take a look at the lava, from far away, it's going to look black. But if you take a closer look, it's not going to look very glassy like this one. And that's because in nature, volcanic glass is actually very hard to do. And that's because in nature, you have way more lava. And if you have more lava, it's going to cool down slower. And if it cools down slower, it begins to crystallize. So it's not going to look like this rock. This one will take centuries, and then sometimes thousands of years to cool down completely. So you find them quite deep underground. But on the surface, so the lava you can see, is still going to cool down slower than this one, because there is way more of it. So it's going to be a black rock with a few crystals in it. And that's enough not to make it glassy anymore. On the surface, you could see a thin layer of volcanic glass. That would be the only place lava was cooled down fast enough to make it. But does that mean we can't find a huge amount of volcanic glass in nature? We can, but we just need something to cool down the lava fast enough. And this something, pretty easy. It's just water. It could be a glacier, the ocean, a lake, just need water. But without water, lava is not cooling down fast enough to make volcanic glass. Here, it's just because it's a small amount, so everything cools down very fast. But in nature, we never cool down as fast by itself. And to give you an idea about the amount of lava, here we have 40, 50 liters of lava, 10, 13 gallons. In July, on the first day of the eruption, the volcano was producing around 40,000 liters of lava every second, 10,000 gallons every second. So of course this lava is going to cool down way faster. It's a small amount. So here I'm trying to break it. Let's go in there. Yes. I just want to pick up another one, just to show it's still very hot in the middle. You can see, it's still red. So the temperature is still around this 600 Celsius, 1100 Fahrenheit. It's going to lose the temperature very quickly and turn black. Any question?
Yes. So you were talking about. So I saw the eruption before, and I was seeing people walking on like cold lava.
Mm-hmm.
But how fast would a person, if they would fall into this, disappear?
Disappear. None of them, we're going to know where they are.
Or
No, it's just like, it's hard to know because everything depends on the layer of lava. But the thing also, it's on a lava field, you can have a lot of holes everywhere. Because when lava is flowing, it's making a lot of tunnel. And you have to imagine that the lava field, it's a lot of tunnel everywhere. So it could be walking somewhere, and it could be very thin. And when it's cooling down, it's cracking, and then it's just collapsing. But that doesn't mean under that, lava will be crazy hot. It really depends on how thick is the lava, basically. But you can still fall in a hole and just break something just by falling, basically. And yeah, that's why it's completely stupid, I think, to go in the lava field even for a lot of years after an eruption. Even like a very old lava field, it's full of holes and everything, and the moss is covering most of them. So it's also, I think, pretty dangerous to walk on older lava fields just because of that. So how long is that would disappear? They would just fall in, break something.
So you don't go hiking in Iceland?
No, it's not that. Not everything is a newly lava field. There's a lot of terrain that is very, very old, and there is no problem. It's easy to see which one you shouldn't walk on it. When you drive around Iceland, you're gonna see, sometimes say, oh, that looks like a lava field. You see, it's strange to say. Me, when I see it, I see, oh, that's a pretty new one. And this one, generally, I would avoid. But if there is path going on that, that's when it's safe, generally.